Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another battle to the death for you today. We have the Zero Tolerance 0562 tie versus the WE Malice. Very, very similar knives. Very, very similar in almost every single way. In overall kind of lineage, they are. The Zero Tolerance is a Rick Hinderer design. It's basically their version of Rick Hinderer's very famous XM18, but particularly this is like what he would call the slicer grind. The Malice is a collaboration with Ferrum Forge. WE has done a lot with Ferrum Forge, but this is the first thing that says WE on it. They make a lot of, almost all of Ferrum Forge's, minus one, all of Ferrum Forge's mass drop knives, drop knives. They changed their name. They also make like the Archbishop 2.0 that Ferrum Forge sells under their own name, but this is the first one with Ferrum Forge's actual name on it. It's not a version of one of their other knives. This is a unique design, designed just for WE to make, but almost identical in price. $280, $283.10, both bulky titanium frame lock folders, both running on ball bearings, both super smooth action, all that stuff. It's going to be a fun comparison. If you're looking for something in this kind of price range, it's definitely two that are probably going to come up on your radar. So I think this is going to be a very, very valid comparison if that's for something that you're looking at. How do these things work if you have not seen one before? We have 7 categories: design and aesthetics, quality, blade, ergonomics, carry, deployment, and value. And then I'm going to add all those up. Everybody gets 1 point for each category that they win. And at the end, pick a winner. Let's get to it. Let's just do some specs. I've already talked about kind of the overall design of both these knives, so we're not going to rehash all that. I've kind of already introed them. But let's do some specs, and then we will move on to the scoreable categories. First up is the 0562 tie. Again, I already said $280 even. Overall length, 8 1/4 inches. Blade length of 3.5 inches. Blade thickness, 0.16 inches. Handle thickness of 0.51, and a weight of 5.45 ounces. Next up, we will switch over to the WE. We have an overall length just a little bit shorter, 8.15 inches. Blade length also just a hair shorter, just a hair under 3.5 inches. Blade thickness, same, 0.16 inches. Handle thickness, about the same, 0.54, just a little bit more. And weight also just a little bit more, 6.1 ounces. Now, let's get into the scoreable categories. First up, design and aesthetics. I like the look of the Hinderer knives, but it is something I've kind of gotten used to, I guess is the best way to describe it. The Malice still looks very Ferrum Forgey, but it is kind of a bit more of a unique design. And we're comparing the tie versions. So I will say as a caveat, the 0562 does also come in a carbon fiber scale. And I'm not sure if they still make the G10 one that's a little less expensive. I think they might still make the G10 one. But so you do have those options. On the Malice, you can get a plain version, which is honestly a pretty similar finish to what you're seeing on the 0562, or this gorgeous flame anno. If you're watching this at the time I'm recording it, the flame anno is sold out a lot of places, but they'll be back. But the regular one, the plain tie, is still available almost everywhere. But just a very, very pretty thing. As far as design and aesthetics go, I like the look of the little, I call it the car grill pattern they have in here. I like the look of that, and you can't beat the flame anno. That looks so good, and it's so well done, especially for a production knife. It's really excellent flame anno if you're into that. I got to give design and aesthetics to the Malice. It's and I don't know where you'd put naming, but the Malice is such a great name for a knife. I don't know where. I just want to say that it's just it doesn't have a numbers name. The Malice that's one of the best names that WE has ever come up with. It's very, very, very good. Quality-wise, next category. They're both really damn good. There's a reason why WE makes everybody's everything. I've joked around and said if you see a designer who's doing a short run of production knives, it's almost easier to say the ones that aren't made by WE than it is the ones that are made by WE. There's a reason for that. WE does a great freaking job. They are very, very good quality. The ZT also very good quality. They're both excellent. I have no quality issues with either of them. They're both just superbly well done, very well finished. The WE may have a bit nicer hardware. They do their own in-house hardware. That's really nice. But I like the finish on the blade more on the ZT. I think that looks a bit classier and like it took a bit more time. I gotta call it a tie. I couldn't possibly pick between these two particular ones. I'm not saying overall WE and ZT are even. I'm just saying these two particular ones, I gotta call it a tie. There's no way I can choose on this. Blade, 20 CV versus M390. Pretty much analogs of each other. So as far as like materials go, even Stevens there. I like this very tall blade shape on the Ferrum Forge. I in my kind of usage, doing long cuts on cardboard and stuff, I like that. And with the same fairly thick blade stock between the two, it's nice. They're both, pretty flat grinds. Go all the way up in some spots on the ZT, a little bit less here. But the difference between the two really, and why I'm going to give the win to the Malice, is 17 thousandths behind the edge versus 24 thousandths behind the edge. The Malice is just a much better slicer. And in my particular usage, that matters to me more. Now, if you are more of a person who is a more hard use guy, yes, the ZT does have a more robust tip. There's that. But and you might not mind the little bit more thickness behind the edge. I can totally see if you're more a hard use guy, you might prefer this blade. But this is definitely not delicate by any stretch of the imagination. And you'd have to be a very hard use guy to think that this blade is not hard use enough for you. A little less cutting edge because you have that forward finger choil. We'll talk more about that later. But both, great sharpening choils, all that stuff. I just have to give, just because it's so much thinner behind the edge. WE is super into that now. They do very thin grinds behind the edge. All their knives are very, very slicey. This is no exception. So got to give the win to the Malice for the blade. Now, Ergonomics. This one kind of surprised me. I was all ready just to say the Malice because it's got a forward finger choil, and I love forward finger choils, and that is very nice. It's very nice to be able to choke up like that, especially on a fairly large size knife. This is definitely a full-size folder. I like being able to choke up for a lot of the stuff that I do, and I do like that on the Malice. And when you're choked up, it works very, very well. But when you're in the normal kind of grip, this pocket clip is definitely it's not a horrible hot spot, but it is a hot spot. You can absolutely feel this nicely milled clip. It's you can just kind of feel it, and that's a bit annoying. Where the ZT, I have no problems at all ergonomically on this. It works great. It does have finger grooves. Some people hate those, but they match my fingers very well. The loop over pocket clip works great. Don't feel anything. It's ergonomically, this thing is nigh on perfect. A little bit of jimping to hold you in place where the Malice has none. It doesn't really need it, but it doesn't have any if you're a jimping fan. Got to give the win Ergonomics to the ZT. Carry. This one, not as close as some of the other ones. Most of these other categories I've said are fairly close, but this one isn't really. The Malice carries fine for the size that it is, but as you can see with them closed, it's quite tall. Neither of them are short by any means. They're fairly close to even, I guess. But this feels a lot taller in the pocket, just the location of the clip. It doesn't sit as deep. It is also heavier and thicker, but that's minute amounts. But it's more difficult to get your hands past and stuff. It's not bad. It carries perfectly fine for a knife this size and this weight. It carries perfectly fine. Flipper tab has the jimping. You can really feel it as you go by it. Not really feel, but you can kind of feel it where you don't feel it at all on the ZT. The ZT has this nice deep carry clip. It's not as fancy, no. But on a real hinderer that costs twice as much, you're not you don't get a milled clip either. There's kind of a reason for that. Milled clips are awesome, but I do think that some of the old standards are more useful. Yeah, there's no jimping to head. It's a little thinner, a little lighter. I don't think the weight really matters that much once you get up into this weight category, but pretty easy win on the carry for the ZT. The ZT does just carry better. Deployment. This one's tougher than I thought. I thought the ZT would be a walk away because if you guys watch this channel, I've had the 0562 tie for a while. I love it. And one of the main reasons why I love it is just the action is freaking awesome. We came close. They came close. But it's just not quite as nice as this. As far as like fall shuttiness, they're not far off at all. The ZT there. They both have very great detent noises when they, suck shut that last little bit. They're both super reliable. The detent's both really great on both of them. Honestly, the reason why I'm giving it the ZT is and this is going to sound really trivial, and if you want to completely disagree with me on this, you're fine, but it's the noise. That bang, it's so good, and it's addicting. And I don't know if it's because this is heavily milled, where the Malice isn't, and it just doesn't make quite that bang. They both sound equally good on close, but I know this is a stupid, cheesy thing, but it's that bang. And this is slightly smoother. The ZT is slightly smoother, so there's that too. But I got to give a win for, deployment and action to the ZT. Value. This one was also really tough. If you just go by the only stat that the WE has over the ZT is it's got a titanium mill pocket clip. So if you really love that, that's cool. But that's also one of the things that I don't like about it, because ergonomically, I wish it didn't have it. So I can't really call that a plus for the value. Where I can, I don't know. I just got to call it a tie. I don't know. This has a nicer little bag that comes with all that stuff, but value-wise, there's almost identical price and materials and all the stuff that really matters. They're equal. So you have ceramic ball bearings. This has steel, but they both work perfectly fine. I can't pick one in value. I'm going to call it a tie for value also. So where does that leave us? 3-2 win for the 0562 tie. And I'm a Hinderer fan, and I like. You guys know I like this knife, so not a surprise. But this actually, the Malice came damn close to it. I do have to say, I really wasn't expecting this to be close. I ordered the Malice just because I like Ferrum Forge stuff, and I wanted to try it out. And I've been hugely impressed with this. And I still think it's one of the best things that WE makes. And I still think it's a great freaking knife. And I'm really surprised there aren't a bazillion videos of it out. I think I may be the only one who's done a full review of it. I'll link to that here in the end, here in just a second. But it's a great freaking knife. But the 0562 tie is just, timeless almost now. The 0562 itself, anyway, is timeless. And now the tie, the newest version. Yeah. So the winner is the 0562 tie. But if you want something different than titanium frame lock stuff, you won't be disappointed with the Malice at all. So there's my conclusion. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.